the delay. We trying to get the 5-year-old down for a nap. Gonna keep the voice down for the first 10 minutes or so. So if you can't hear me, just leave a comment and we'll try to do a little bit better. But today we'll be cooking pho. Check it out. Actually, it's called pho to be precise. So here's what we're starting with. We got rice noodles, got a couple eggs, got some salt, got beef bone broth as well as chicken bone broth. You don't have to use both. You can choose the one that you prefer. Got some sliced meat that we got from Costco. Got some ice water. Promise I'll explain where that's coming from in a little bit. We got a pan that is about halfway, about an inch, a half inch filled with water. And then we have a pot. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do first. We are going to start the back pan. And once this, we're gonna cover it right now. Cover it with some aluminum foil. We could cover that with a glass cover if we wanted to. But the reason why we're covering it is because we want to get that to a boil as soon as possible. The order of operations is we're gonna cook the things that take the longest to cook first, and then start with the other things. So the thing that is gonna take the longest to cook is the soft-boiled eggs. Reason being, it'll take only about 6 minutes to cook them once that water's to a boil, which will happen in about 4 minutes. But we want to have the eggs soak in ice water for about 10 minutes or so before we try to crack them. Otherwise, it's gonna be incredibly challenging to crack. Okay, so now that we have turned the flame on for the pot, what we're going to be, boiling the noodles. Again, we're gonna mix this, do a mix of a add a little bit more. That's gonna be a mix of a beef and a chicken bone broth. We're gonna add a little bit more gelatinous beef bone broth right there. So that's gonna be about 2 cups of bone broth. Now we're gonna come back to me, and we got pad thai. So we're gonna get these, I'm gonna open up these pad thai noodles. Put this so y'all can see me. Put it like right here. What's up, Finlay? Joey Explorers, you subscribed. Thank you very much, sir. Like and subscribe if you like it and subscribe. Well, if you like it and subscribe, obviously. So that's getting hot. And then what we also have is we have some sliced meat that we got at our local Costco. We can keep that to the side right now. We don't need to do too much from that. As everything warms up, we will take a little bit of a break to chat about SBF. Amadito, what you cooking, good looking. Thank you. It's very fitting. I did not mention that I'm wearing my Olympic Club shirt. Okay, so the Olympic Club was a sports club that I belonged to when I was in San Francisco, and very nice club. You can Google it. Amazing indoor gym downtown, as well as a great golf course by the lake. And we entertain clients there. So when I worked at the crypto exchange that I worked at back in 2018, 2019, beginning of 2020, we would entertain clients, and I take them to baseball games, and a cool place that I would take them would be the Olympic Club. And so I would host guests there, just making sure that bone broth is heating evenly. But I would take guests there, and one of the guests that I took there, I would say in later 2018, was a man named Sam Bankman-Fried. Sam Bankman-Fried was the CEO at the time of a liquidity provider called Alameda Research. You may have heard of Alameda Research in the legal proceedings. Okay, so I'm hearing that stuff is boiling. Let me give y'all a hint of what I'm looking at right now. Okay, so we got that water boiling. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put those there. You might think that I am you know, getting toxins on my food because I'm heating up food by aluminum, but the aluminum is not going to penetrate the eggs as far as I'm concerned. I hope not anyway. Okay, so second step, now that we see this boiling, we are going to take out the noodles from the package. I don't know if we're gonna put the whole thing in there, or we're gonna put most of it. See how much we can fit. And, all right, what we got? My top Pho news channel. That's right, Joe Blow. Appreciate it. You look like you go to a gym. I do go to the gym sometimes. Okay, so I'm gonna break a little bit of a rule, and I'm going to break these noodles in half. Actually, no, I don't need to do that. I will not need to break them in half because they are small enough that I can put them in the way I want to put them in. Okay, so now I'm gonna go over and get spatula. All right, so here's what we're looking at. If I had a bigger pot, obviously I would not need to do this, but I'm doing it with the limitations that I'm working with. So we're just gonna get these noodles submerged as quickly as we can into the beef chicken bone broth mix. We're gonna turn this down as we can, and we're gonna add a little bit more noodles to the mix. So we're gonna add more of these rice noodles. I have a subscription where I just get these delivered from Amazon every several months. So these are nice. They say they're organic. I hope they are. All right, cool. So, you know, the key to cooking these noodles, I'll show you guys right now. The key to cooking these noodles is we don't want to let them clump up, right? We actually do need to stir them, as crazy as that sounds. We do not want them to clump up. There's a bone inside here. Did not know that. Put that right there. But we don't want these things to clump up because they will clump up if you let them. Okay, so I can turn this down a little bit. That's heating up quite well, and I'll give you back this pretty face to talk through Sam Bankman-Fried. So when I first met Sam Bankman-Fried, I thought he was a smart dude. I took him to this club, this Olympic club, many times, probably 3 times. He was a vegan. I think he still is a vegan. And so he would always order the chips, not the chips, the French fries. And so he would literally, you know, I would get shrimp, fried chicken, whatever I would eat there. And he would always order the French fries. And maybe he ordered beer, I forget, but always the French fries because vegans don't eat very healthy typically. And I remember thinking this guy's really smart. And I made a mistake on this guy. You know, I thought that he was legit. He seemed like a very intelligent guy to me. They actually found a very intelligent way to game our own trading rules. So maybe a little bit of inside of baseball, but to explain how quant trading works, high frequency trading works, which a lot of crypto firms do, including Alameda Research. It's a game of getting the prices faster than your competition. So you're constantly submitting bids and offers, and the name of the game is get price data faster than everybody else, so you know how to trade and make arbitrage. So, you know, if you can buy Bitcoin for, you know, at the time it would be $8,000 on one exchange, and sell it for 7,000, and sell it for 8,050 on another exchange, then you're making money. Particularly if you're not paying any meaningful fees, as a lot of these liquidity providers were not, because that was the arrangement that they have with the exchange. So a lot of times they'd actually get incentivized to make trades through maker bonuses, where if they just set resting orders on the order book. That's probably a little bit too much inside baseball, but they would get paid to buy and sell basically instantaneously. And so the only way you can buy and sell instantaneously more profitably than other groups is to get pricing information faster than them. But all of these exchanges will limit your API, and limit API rates. So like you cannot actually refresh price rates more than a certain amount of times per second. And the way that Sam figured out how to get around this was that he built a bot that could be used to basically mimic individual clicking on the website. And so you could actually click on the website manually and refresh prices faster than our API allowed algorithmic traders to do it. And so he figured this out, and he was able to get better pricing than everybody else on the exchange, basically by thinking smarter than everybody else. And so I thought, oh, this is a smart dude. You know, he's a physics major at MIT. He was a successful trader, I believe, at Jump was the firm that I believe he came from. And so I thought, okay, yeah, like this guy's legit. I have all the reason in the world to believe that this guy's making money legitimately. And so much so that I actually brought him to a Giants game. Little segue. These eggs are done. So we're going to take them. Oops. And put them in that water. Let that chill for a second. These noodles are cooking marvelously as well. Like the progress of that. I'm just gonna pour this out so we don't have boiling water potentially dripping off onto someone's leg if they walk by here. Okay, so like how these noodles are progressing. Really like this. Okay, and we're gonna turn these eggs around because I should have filled this up a little bit higher. I didn't. Oh well. Okay, so these noodles need probably about 5 more minutes, I would say. Let me taste one really quickly. Let me sample it. Let you see how the sampling goes. I can tell. You can tell by the way this is hanging off of the tongs that it's not ready to go yet. But I'm gonna eat it. Yep. I'll put that one back. You shouldn't do that if you're running a restaurant, but if you're just cooking for yourself, it's probably fine. Okay, so I'm gonna let that, again, I think that estimate was about right. My buddy Zach Homel, I just got a push notification saying that he really liked the email that I sent today. Either that or he said something that's good. I think that meant he really liked the email that I sent today. So if you're not subscribed to my email list, do that. If you don't know how, DM me on Twitter, or I'll put a comment, and we'll figure out how to get you on the list. Okay, so that's it. We're at 12:47. Okay, so I'm gonna want to. Let me just give you a heads up as to how these things are cooking. The package, by the way, says to cook these things for 8 minutes, and the package is wrong. You need to cook them longer than that. My experience is, they've probably been in there for about 8 minutes already, so they probably need at least 4 minutes more than what the package says, minimum. SBF, not to be confused with SPF, which is sunscreen. So SBF. Sam Bankman-Fried. Sorry, I'm bending over to get the Tupperware that I'm going to save some of these noodles in because I'm not going to eat all of them in the pho because we want to keep all our food protein dominant, and that would require us to not eat boatloads of noodles and rather have more meat to mix it with. So I thought SBF was smart. And I wasn't the only one. You know, a lot of people, we're going to try this again. Again, I think there's probably about 3 more minutes left on these noodles, but you can see maybe that this is hanging a little bit more loosely than before. Yep. Yeah, that's about right. 3 more minutes. That's amazing, by the way. That noodle tastes so good with that bone broth. Cook your noodles and cook your rice in bone broth. Cook your pasta in bone broth too. It adds extra protein, adds extra flavor. That's incomparable. You're not going to get that at most restaurants. By the way, let me give you a heads up for how we made this bone broth. This is beef bone broth. There's so much tallow at the top. Reason being is we bought some beef knuckle bones, roasted those, and then put that in the Ninja slow cooker for 16 hours. It's just fabulous. Cannot recommend that enough. So I'm going to keep stirring these noodles. SBF, smart dude. So You may have seen that he recently got sentenced to 25 years because what ended up happening was he ran his exchange, FTX. Somehow, that seems to get overlooked by a lot of commentators. They were accepting deposits to FTX through the Alameda account, which, if you've ever worked at a financial institution, is a big no-no. You are not supposed to allow an entity to transfer money to the entity that is not supposed to be the end recipient of that entity, in order to avoid banking compliance hurdles. That is called money laundering. I don't believe that was one of the charges that Mr. SBF was actually found guilty of, but it could have been. Anyway, that was a big no-no. They were accepting bank wires from FTX clients into their Alameda account because FTX had not yet been set up with banking, because Alameda was not, in retrospect, a bankable client. And so what ended up happening is there was there was a story put out, I believe, by CoinDesk, talking about how FTX was actually highly exposed to market volatility. If not FTX, Alameda was highly exposed to market volatility, and that the empire, SBF's empire, was much more questionable than we had all believed through 2022. I'm gonna have another noodle, test this out. Much better now. That's about 90 seconds away from being done. And so a lot of people didn't know what to think, because Sam had come off as such a smart dude. He was calling the bottom of Solana, telling everybody he'd buy as much as they could sell him for $3, and it was like $150 6 months later. And so people are like, well, Sam's like really good at understanding where the markets are going to go, not necessarily thinking that he was doing things that were pushing the markets in a certain direction. But in retrospect, people got scared. A big counterparty of his, CZ, former CEO of Binance, called their bluff, basically saying he wanted to sell all the FTT tokens that they were using to collateralize some borrowing. So basically the exchange token, it'd be the equivalent of a company using its own stock as collateral to borrow money, which companies don't do that. They use the assets that they hold to borrow money, but they don't use their own stock as collateral to borrow money. And that's kind of what Alameda was doing, because it was basically a connected entity to FTX. And so all of this ended up with massive redemptions. All right, so let's check what we're doing right here. Got that noodle. Time to test it out. Needs about 30 seconds longer. So all of these people started getting scared. They started thinking, including FTX employees, by the way, started thinking, is Sam full of shit? Does FTX actually have all the assets? Of course, in any bank run or any exchange run, everybody's going to be saying how they have all the assets. Don't worry about it. Funds are safe, all that stuff. And so they were going through like billions of dollars of redemptions, withdrawals per day. And eventually they didn't have the assets, or they didn't believe that they had the assets to allow for customer withdrawals. They tried to do a fire sale to Binance. Sam, basically said that we've come to an agreement to be bought by Binance, which I think was total bullshit, because I don't think CZ actually agreed to that in any means. He, at the very least, he would have wanted to see their balance sheet. And once anybody took a look at the balance sheet, they would have thought, oh my God, this is crazy. There's no way I can trust this. There's no way I want exposure to what's going on right here. And so that deal fell through. Okay, I think these noodles are good. Let me see. Let me eat this. Yep, that's about right. Okay. So I'm going to start moving these noodles over. This is not going to be the most efficient way to do it, but I'm going to do it like this anyway. The reason why I'm doing this is I want to save as much of this bone broth as I possibly can do. So rather than pour it in a strainer, I guess I could pour it in a strainer and recycle the bone broth, but I want to avoid cleaning multiple dishes, right? This is a realistic home kitchen where we have realistic desires from women to avoid doing extra potentially unnecessary cleaning. So we will use what we can use to make this work to the best of our ability. Okay, great. Now that we have that, what we can do now is we're going to pour more bone broth into the jar. All right. And one thing that I'm doing right now, I want to be careful. So I'm going to take this meat out, turn this around. All right. I'll show you what I'm doing. Take this meat out, use these tongs, and I'm going to put the meat in the bone broth. Okay. So show you what we're working with right here. So this meat is just going to cook like this in the bone broth. What we should actually be doing is separating it, making it cook one by one. And we should actually have more bone broth in there. But again, I am being very stingy with the bone broth because we want to save it and make our gut health good. We don't want to have any strained, unused bone broth. So all of it's going to be right here and used. Okay, wonderful. So we're just going to let this cook for a second. Let this get all pink. We don't need to cook this all the way through, but we are going to want to cook it reasonably well. Okay, so this is good. All right, this is almost done. You can see that this is a nice red. I don't think that this is going to be giving me too much stomach issues. All right, so we're going to turn this around. I'll show you what we're working with right here. Okay. Let that stay. Okay, so now we got the beef, and we're going to pour the beef into the bowl. So we got almost all of this out. We're going to get all of it out, though. Okay, wonderful. So let me show you what we got right now. Yep, okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start cracking these eggs. So I've never figured out how to do this very, very quickly, cracking soft-boiled eggs. So this is something that can definitely be improved upon. And then the other thing is because we didn't let them rest for that long. You're supposed to let them rest for longer. than like 10 minutes, but we are gonna peel a bunch of the egg white off as we're peeling the shell off. I don't have a good solution for that right now. If anybody does, post below. But you know, we're still gonna get a decent amount of protein, probably 5 grams or so from each egg. And we're gonna remove all the shells. All right, so back to SBF sentencing. So, you know, all in, he's accused of stealing about $8 billion from various users of the exchange. And here's the deal. A lot of them are going to get made whole on, like, by legal terms. So they might have lost a bunch of crypto assets, but there's a liquidation sale. They're going to get the money back on the assets that they had, but the big caveat's going to be it's going to be at the trading price of when FTX went bankrupt. And if you've been following the crypto markets, crypto assets have gone up significantly since FTX went bankrupt. That sort of marked the bottom of last cycle. And so, you know, Bitcoin's like 3 times, 4 times more expensive now than it was during the FTX, you know, bankruptcy. And when they initially filed for I think Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And so a lot of these people, some of whom I know, you know, they'll get paid, but they'll get paid according to holding a $16,000 Bitcoin or $17,000 Bitcoin, not according to holding, you know, 10 Bitcoin or 100 Bitcoin, however many Bitcoin they had. And so, you know, it was a big fiasco. And so most recently, Sam got sentenced to 25 years. Now that's going to get appealed because his parents are lawyers and he has good money, supposedly, maybe not, but somebody's bankrolling him for some reason. I don't know why. And so he's spending money to avoid, you know, spending 25 years in prison. But all of it, you know, remains to be shown that, like, if you're a mega criminal who steals like $8 billion, your prison sentence is like the same as somebody who commits armed robbery. And so it really just shows you that the sentences for highly sophisticated criminals don't correspond to the magnitude of their crimes whatsoever, as long as people's bodies are not harmed during the commission of these crimes. And so, you know, I'm sure people committed suicide because of what Sam did and what FTX did, but because we're going to do this to the other egg now, but because it was he didn't use a gun when he stole $8 billion, you know, he's going to be treated, you know, like somebody who did use a gun to steal $8,000. He's actually going to be treated better because he's not supposed to go to a higher security prison. He's supposed to go to a lower security or medium security prison. And so, yeah, it's really interesting, where you would think that jail time would be sufficient enough to disincentivize somebody from committing like massive frauds. At the same time, like, that dude was pumped full of so many. All right, we're gonna call an audible on this one just because I cracked the barrier, so this is gonna start leaking some yolk on me if I don't scoop it out with a spoon really quickly. So you know, this isn't my first rodeo, even though I can make some rookie mistakes like that. Okay, so we're going to use the spoon. That wasn't bad at all. Okay, wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, awesome. Now I'll give you all a look. Let me go get some chili flakes. Put that on here. All right. Cool. I guess I could have put them under tap water. All right. Well, that's the deal. That's what we got right here. I'm going to take a little sip from this bowl before I take a full full drink from it. See how we're doing. That's phenomenal. Let's see how the beef is. Awesome. Let's see how the egg is. Let me add some salt on top, just because we did not salt the meat earlier. But this is amazing. And of course, Chef Alex doesn't miss. So we're working right here. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you every Wednesday and Friday, except for possibly the next couple, because I'll be on the road on live stream lunch. Make sure you like and subscribe. Post in the comments if you have any meal requests going forward. Peace out, bros and chicks.